All right, class. First off, as always, good day. Today, this video is the first part of our lesson. It's chapter 1.1. Now, some of you guys, you may have missed class and you're watching this video because you missed out on it. If you have the packet, you can take your notes on there. But if you don't, a regular sheet of paper is fine as long as you put your name on it. And when I have the warm up or the questions, that you actually put on the side, warm up, give your answer, the notes, write your notes, and then your question and answer. Be sure you put that on there too. That way I can distinguish the difference. All right. So the other thing is, the good things about these videos is that you can pause it and go at your own pace. Okay, so that's key. So this video is going to go from one thing to another to another. So if you need more time, press pause, take the notes and things like that. Also, speaking of the notes, you do not have to write it word for word. You can write it basically, in your own language, in your own words. So break it down. Do not write it word for word because you're going to get a hand cramp and you're going to run out of space on your notes. Okay, so get the important stuff out and be sure you apply that to your notes because you will be able to use it on your tests. Okay, so with that being said, let's begin. All right, so here is your warm-up picture. This, as you can see, is not a actual like painting or a photograph. This is actual chart. Now this is Trump's budget request for 2019. Basically, the first question is, what do you see? What's this chart saying? Okay, where is the money going? Okay, so look at it, break it down, analyze it. Okay, then the second question is this: from that categories, what you see is military, veteran benefits, government, education, science, unemployment, things like that. Which are your top three do you think our tax dollars should go to? So out of all those that are there in that chart, which one do you feel our tax money should be going to? Okay, and write that as the second question. I believe our tax money should be going to, and you can put one, two, three, or you can just say it from military, unemployment, veteran benefits, however you want to put it. Okay, but be sure you put it, if you're on the regular sheet of paper, make sure you have warm up on the side. Okay. All right, so let's begin with the notes. First off, we're going to start off with the state. Now, you should have learned this from your like seventh grade history class and even your world history class. But Aristotle, he was a famous ancient Greek philosopher, and he basically was one of the first students of government. Now, what I mean by that is he was one of the first people to actually sit down and contemplate why we have government. Why do we need government? How would life be like without it? Could we, as a society, sustain without some type of form of government? If we could, how long? You know, um, and if we didn't, how long could we last? And would people want to go back to structure and order and things like that? And then to like a what cost, things like that. He really thought about our need for government. Now, the definition of a state, it basically it's a political community that occupies a defined area and has an organized government with the powers to make and enforce laws. Now that's key. It's one thing to say everyone should, follow this law or this and this and that, but if they don't have the means to enforce the law, then it's basically like anyone can do whatever. So think of it like this: if up one major road in your town, the speed limit, let's say it's 35, but there's no cops there, and there's no one there to enforce that law. How quickly would it be before people realize, you know what, there's nobody here, so it's 35, I'm gonna go 50. You know, I gotta rush. I gotta go. So and so meet is gonna meet me up. So I gotta take off. So how long would it take before people stop acknowledging the law if the law is not enforced? Okay. Now there are close to 200 states in the world, and the United States is just one of them. Okay. Now, if you look to your right, there's a picture of Aristotle. It's a bust of him that they made. All right. So now the next definition, which is a key one, is nation. Now, a nation is a sizable group of people who are united by a common bond of race, language, custom, traditions, and sometimes religion. Okay, not just because they're together are they a nation. They're they have a connection. All right. Now that's key. It's not just that they're united just because there's something that is uniting them. Okay. Um, Now the next part the next bullet you could just kind of wipe it away. That was my fault. I haven't edited it, so I do apologize for that. The next thing you should be writing is nation state. Now this is when a state's boundaries um, coincide with a cultural boundary of a particular group. So they're kind of like rubbing elbows in a sense. Now, one of the key things, which is kind of unique, is that not every nation have states, and sometimes a state are their own nation. So a great example of this would be like the Vatican, okay, the place where the Pope lives. Um, the Vatican is in Italy, right? They are within Rome. But the thing is, the Vatican is their own nation. So if let's say a crime happened at the Vatican, like someone got murdered, the Roman police could not go in and say, hey, hey, this is, you know, we got to investigate. They can't do that because the Vatican is their own nation. It'd be like if a crime happened in Mexico and the United States starts sending people there to investigate. That's not our case, that's theirs. It happened on their land, their soil, so we have no right to be there. Okay. All right. Now, there are four things that are a necessity when it comes to being considered a state. First off, right off the back, is you need people. You need a population. It's pretty good self-explanatory because if it's just you who is claiming a nation, um, basically who's going to do all the work? Are you going to do it, or can you basically run a whole town by yourself? No. So population is key. All right. The other thing is that is needed, which is basically its common sense, is territory. Because a place cannot be a nation if they have no land. Okay. Um, so it's kind of like if someone said, "Hey, we're gonna make a country named Tedsville." Great. Where is it? We haven't got to that yet. You know. So you need the land, and the people before you can basically become a state. The other thing is sovereignty. Now, I know this word may sound familiar to some people. You may have heard it in movies and things like that. But sovereignty basically means control. If you don't have control of not only your people, but the policies and the ability to function, it's going to slip out of your hand, and then you're going to have chaos. Okay. Um, the example I was giving earlier was like if in the classroom, if I do not have control of my students, if they don't respect the word that when I tell them to quiet down to do work and things like that, are they going to keep listening to me when I keep telling them to stop? All right. Now, I would have to have some type of control in some way or another to basically control the volume, the attitude, the amount of usage on the phone, things like that. Okay. So that's what it means. Because if you don't have control, people are going to do what they want. Things are going to get chaotic because then this person wants to do this and this person wants to do that, and they're going to clash. The last thing that a state needs is some form of government, right? It is needed to maintain that type of order and enforce decisions that binds everyone together, you know, because if you don't have some type of government, again, chaos is going to follow. It's going to be like every man for himself. So you need some type of government, either people voting for what they want, somebody basically taking charge and leading, um, you know, somebody going, hey, you know what, I have experience in leading, you should follow me, a committee, something, okay? So a government is needed, sovereignty, control is needed, territory is needed, and people are needed. All right, so here is your midpoint question. According to the definition of nation, in what ways is the United States a nation? All right, so hopefully you took notes on that part. If you didn't, rewind back and look at the definition of nation. Okay, so we're about 11:16 into this, so you may want to go back and check if you didn't get it down. If you did get it down, look at that definition, and basically you're going to be writing out the United States is considered a nation because, and explain yourself. Why, in what way are we a nation? Right. Now, don't make this mistake that somebody else did in other classes by basically saying, we're a nation because we're united. And it says right there in the definition. It does say that, but if you keep reading, it says united by a common cause. Basically, we have something in common by race, and things like that. And as you know, our country is not the same race. We are a melting pot of the world. We have different races here. So, no. Okay. Look at the definition, and there is something, several things actually, that makes us a nation. You just got to think of it and you got to find it. Okay, I know you can do it. All right. All right. So now we come to the different theories of the origin of a state. Now, these theories, some of them are like interesting, some of them are kind of like, what? But yeah. So the evolutionary theory is basically this. The head of the government is the head of the family. So the father is in charge, then it's the son and things like that. It goes like an order. Um, this has happened before. So if you know about the kings and queen of England and stuff like that, passed down from father to son, things like that. But that's also where trouble comes along because the thing is, some people are ambitious. Yes, people want to be the leader. They want to be king. They want to be, the leader of the clan. Things like that. So ambition can be a bad thing in that type of system of government. Another one is a force theory, which is basically that one person in an area are forced to follow another person. All right. Either they use it by physical strength, hey, you want to be king of this place? Let's go toe to toe, and like the best warrior, the best fighter wins. Or it could be my military might, my army versus your group and things like that. Another one is the divine right theory, which is basically the people believe that their leader is either related to God in some way or another, or God chose them. Now that is a slippery slope because that basically gives the king the right to do whatever they want, and that's really bad. The last one is the social contract theory, in which basically says that there are no governments and people basically surrender their power in order to maintain order. We are born free. We are not chained or bound to anybody. But the thing is, in order to feel secure, we trade our rights for security. Okay, so that's one of the four theories of the origins of the state.